Hello everyone, this is the Professor Z, and we're back, baby. Anyway, it is a very special day, because after such a long wait, we are returning to the world of Maiden Abyss with Chapter 70, titled, As Even a Brother. We start things off by returning to the 7th layer, at the Tide of Light, where Yadaramar and Faputa are assessing the extent of Nanachi's injuries. She's alive, if only barely, leading Yadaramar to wonder what would have happened had Shirumi or Mine taken the hit instead. He also ponders on what motivated Nanachi to sacrifice herself for someone she had just met. Had she given up at some point and decided to use her life for another? These are things Yadaramar does not have time to ponder, as he contacts Shreijo to request a rendezvous at more level ground. Shreijo agrees to Yadaramar's request due to the numerous monsters beginning to gather due to the scent of blood. Yadaramar then assures Faputa that they will save Nanachi, and in response to Yadaramar's resolve, Faputa agrees to help escort Nanachi while leaving Riko's safety to Reg. With each group moving out, Shreijo sends Nishigora and Tepeste ahead to search for a safe location to camp, while the remaining members look to meet up with Yadaramar's group. On top of security, Riko also asks Reg to keep an eye out for any running water, since they'll need a plentiful supply to aid in Nanachi's recovery, just as they needed it for Riko's recovery all that time back. While traveling, Shreijo notices a flock of creatures flying above their group. In preparations for a potential confrontation, Shreijo orders for Palm to search for her shovel, something that momentarily catches Reg's attention before he snaps back to reality, just in time to notice one of the flying creatures heading right for him. However, it is intercepted by a lethal strike from Shreijo's shovel, which seems to have materialized out of thin air. But the answer to this sudden magic trick clearly lies with Ferpom. For those of you familiar with Riko from the film Madagascar... Wait a second. Better. Riko from Madagascar has the ability to puke up nearly anything, and I believe Ferpom possesses a similar ability, consuming and regurgitating Hail Hex's items at will, though I'd imagine that there is a limit to what they can and cannot consume. Having dispatched the flying creature, Shreijo tells Reg to focus on spotting larger enemies like Tom, while she focuses on the small fry. The need for Reg's vigilance raises a question from Riko, who was under the impression that Hail Hex's members could see souls. So why couldn't they detect Tom prior to their attack last chapter? Shreijo confirms that Hail Hex's members can see souls, but without seeing the creature directly, the soul goes unnoticed. This means that foes like Tom, who can mask their presence with the force field, are able to block their presence both physically and spiritually, at least to an extent. Moving ahead, Shreijo's team meets back up with Nishigora and Tepeste, who have successfully found a safe location to set up camp. In classic Nishigora style though, she screams this information to Shreijo from a distance instead of using the readily available and much safer comms device. With a location for camp secured, the next step is to rendezvous with Yadaramar and Faputa. Upon doing so, Reg nearly breaks down in tears over Nanachi's condition, most certainly dealing with the guilt of not being able to do more for her during their confrontation with Tom. Riko is able to bring him back, and Reg, with determination in his eyes, tells Yadaramar to leave guarding to him, and to focus on getting Nanachi to their destination for treatment. Arriving at their camp's location, we learn that it was an insect nest of some kind, which was dispersed by Nishigora. In addition, the cave must have another entrance due to the draft running through it, which Shreijo orders Nishigora to find. Reg immediately upon arrival requests the crumple pot from Shreijo in order to acquire water from a nearby waterfall. With the crumple pot in hand and Faputa in tow, Reg rushes off to obtain water for Nanachi's treatment. A short time later, after Reg's return, we learn that Nanachi's condition is far worse than just physical damage. According to Yadaramar, secretions from Tom have made their way into Nanachi's body, and while he could neutralize them to an extent, the resulting shock from the treatment could potentially be fatal. Though all seems lost, Riko is never one to give up so easily, and quickly jumps into action, pouring out the contents of their travel bag in search of any items that may be of some help. Seeing Riko's determination, Tepeste even offers up her own items in hopes that they may be of some help. Though they have surgical tools, thanks to Nanachi, they are outclassed by Yadaramar's, which are resistant to corrosion. Continuing to sort through their things, Reg happens upon an unfamiliar container. Upon closer inspection, it seems to be some kind of canteen, wrapped in a deteriorating material and covered in what we will learn are beyond glyphs, an ancient writing system believed to have been used by a previous civilization of the Abyss. Upon seeing the canteen, Fapata pops up and believes it to be from her mother, meaning it was an item from the village. Specifically, it reminds Reg of the pillow worn by Mepo Pohan, the innkeeper, something that was actually hinted at in the anime. Thank you SWE_123 for pointing this out on the Maiden Abyss subreddit. Thanks to their help, we now know that this canteen was given to Team Rico as a substitute for the remaining time the group had rented their room for back in the village, and thankfully, it's exactly what the group needs. As Rico opens it up, a strong scent of alcohol fills the room, but it's no normal alcohol. It is Dream Retreat Alcoholic Medicine, a medicinal drink that can help lessen the shock of Yadaramar's treatment. So the plan is made to feed Nanachi the medicine as Yadaramar begins his treatment. The use of the medicine doesn't guarantee Nanachi's survival though. At the end of the day, it all comes down to her own vitality. We soon find that the poison is not the only thing that needs tended to, as Reg realizes that Nanachi's right leg is facing in every direction other than the one it's supposed to. Depending on who you ask, this is even worse than the poison, because without her leg, traversing the abyss becomes much more difficult. Despite this, Reg promises that he'll bring Nanachi with them even if he has to carry her the whole way. Nanachi wakes up in response to Reg's words, and implores that he take her with them. But as those words leave her mouth, the effects of Yadaramar's treatment take hold, and Nanachi begins to freeze up. Yadaramar then signals for Reg to begin administering the Dream Retreat alcoholic medicine, and as Yadaramar had said, Nanachi instinctually begins to drink the medicine. But then, something odd happens. Nanachi shudders, reaches out to Reg, and hugs him. Well, Reg, you know what they say. You rather die the fluffer or live long enough to be fluffed. This sudden action is followed by a slew of strange utterances. Where did you go? I don't want to leave without you. And even calling Reg Midi. And there's the key to this bizarre behavior. The Dream Retreat in this alcohol's name is not just there for show. In order to numb its receiver to pain, the alcohol puts them in a dreamlike state. In this case, Nanachi is hallucinating that Reg is Midi, hence the cuddling. Whether he likes it or not, Reg needs to keep Nanachi still for Yadaramar, so he's stuck being cuddled for the foreseeable future. While Reg is being cuddled, I want to bring up the similarities between Nanachi's current predicament and Rico's past predicament. Both have life-threatening injuries. Both required a third party to be saved. Both led to permanent physical damage. And finally, both interacted with Midi during their recovery. To be entirely honest, I'm not sure if there's any significance behind these similarities, but their similarities were actively mentioned in the chapter, so I thought it best to discuss it anyway. If you have any theories about this, make sure you leave them down in the comments below. Returning to the prison of Reg's own creation, Yadaramar has completed Nanachi's treatment. Complete, but not necessarily out of the woods yet. Time will only tell what may happen to Nanachi. In the present though, Yadaramar has begun to feel the recoil from maintaining the power of the White Whistle for too long. The recoil in this case being his arm's sudden deterioration from his own acids, as he slips while trying to get up. Shrejo is here to assist though, ordering Yadaramar to rest and handing him a mug of water. Now resting, Yadaramar brings up the topic of the Dream Retreat alcoholic medicine. According to him, it's an extremely difficult medicine to make, not just because of the methods required for its creation, but because it can take up to 100 years to complete. So the natural question arises, where did Rico's group get it? Well, against Nanachi's wishes, Rico reveals information about Faputa's origins. Specifically, after learning from Faputa that Gabu had gathered several items for them, Rico tells Yadaramar that Faputa's home is in the 6th layer, a location whose time dilation turns 100 years into 3,000. Meaning that whoever made that medicine was from the previous 2,000-year cycle. It would also mean that both Faputa and the village are potentially several millennium old. During this conversation, Nanachi awakes from her rest, still a little out of it, and tells Reg not to use that on her, which is weird since they had already used it during her treatment. In response, Reg asks if Nanachi remembers anything that just happened, but she doesn't seem to at all, which means that the Dream Retreat alcoholic medicine seems to have blocked out her memories from that point in time. Despite this, it's odd that she would reject something that would potentially save her own life, though Rico believes that her reluctance to having a rare item used on her is due to the regret that still haunts her after all she did working under the Lord of Dawn. While Rico is in thought, Reg suddenly shouts at Mina, confused why they're drawing Nanachi at a time like this. In all honesty, this seems like a harmless gesture, but I'd imagine that Reg deep down still blames the twins for Nanachi's current state. Luckily, Shrejo steps in and apologizes for Mine's actions, and asks that they be allowed to continue their record keeping. Why? Well, we learn here that the twins have at most a month to live. It was because of an unavoidable reason that the twins had to have so many relics implemented into their bodies, and though they keep them alive, the relics are also responsible for slowly gnawing away at their lifespans. With little time left, Mine wishes to leave records of their adventures as proof of the life they lived. As Mine begins to apologize for having such little life to live, despite Nanachi's sacrifice, Reg comes to realize that the twins' last delve truly is their last adventure. While Team Rico can keep on exploring for as long as they live, the twins do not have that same luxury. This realization leads Reg to apologize to Mine for being so self-centered, and even insists that Mine rely on him more, going so far as to call him a brother, which leaves both Mine and Rico a little flustered. Changing topics, probably to get away from that awkward situation, Reg tells Rico that they're low on water, so he plans on getting some more. He's interrupted though by Nishigora, who has a better idea. Shocking, I know. But Nishigora happened upon a waterfall when searching the tunnel they're in, so the two set off in that direction. Before we head into the final parts of this chapter, there's something I'd like to discuss, that being the Juso's White Whistle transformation. During the latter half of the chapter, we get to see the side effects of the White Whistle on Juso. Bodily malfunctions, exhaustion, and potential ability recoil are all side effects that we see in this chapter. Something that also stands out is that unlike Reg, who can take off the drip at will, the Juso do not seem to have that kind of power, which is seen in both Yadaramar and the twins. This is seen when Yadaramar cannot immediately revert to normal once he has finished Nanachi's surgery, and similarly, the twins are seen with their hair still partially colored, despite it having been a far longer time since they powered down compared to Yadaramar. It seems to me that the Juso, while they are able to harness the White Whistle's power, it really isn't something they should do. For the twins, it's implied that it can be difficult for them to control their powers, to a point that it could harm others around them unintentionally, while Yadaramar could inadvertently lose limbs or vital organs if he were to use the whistle's power for too long. The self-destructive nature of a Juso's powers show that they're meant as a last resort at best. Returning to the chapter, Nishigora and Reg arrive at the end of the cave, and what they find is a landscape that has been completely decimated. Craters and claw marks completely cover the landscape, and while gazing upon it, Reg suddenly has a vision. He sees another interference unit, similar to himself, yet not the same, as this one has a different helmet with a flower crest on it, different body tattoos, and a different, neck circle, and even Wolverine-like claws. And this unit is calling out to Reg, referring to him as their older brother, pleading that they look at them in the eyes, saying that together with Karinia, they can... And then Ishiguro snaps Reg out of it. God forbid we have anything nice in this house. Every step forward is followed by a skull-shattering somersault back. Can we not get more than a crumb, and then a pinch of information every 7 months? Please! Calm yourself, Professor. We've been through this before. One step at a time. So we receive this brief yet impactful flash of Reg's memories. We see who could potentially be the female unit mentioned in the past chapters, but it's also possible that it's not them at all. It's clear that they are in some way related to Reg, and probably had some kind of falling out if the landscape is anything to go off of. They mention a person named Karinia, who could be any number of people at this point. My first thought was that they were the Shrine Maiden, but the way a character we'll see shortly acts when they encounter Reg makes me think otherwise. Some other potential identities for this Karinia are one of the White Whistles, or maybe even Reg's creator. Finally, we do see that this mysterious unit is holding the same necklace that Riko found at the very beginning of the story when she meets Reg. This necklace is potentially one of the most important things in the story that we know absolutely nothing about. With that out of the way, Reg gazes out over this battlefield and wonders if he was the one responsible, or even if he's capable of such destruction. But as he gazes over this landscape, someone is looking back. In the far distance, a sniper is looking at Reg and speaks about him in a familiar tone, referring to Reg as a thing, a pyromaniac returning to the scene of a crime, or even an animal following its homing instincts. This unfamiliarity yet familiarity with Reg is what makes me think that Karinia isn't the Shrine Maiden. If Reg was close with the Shrine Maiden in the past, then I'd feel like her subordinates, the sniper being one of them, would be more familiar with Reg's kind than they're currently expressing. Regardless, whatever it was that drew Reg here doesn't matter to the sniper. All that matters is Tepeste, meaning that Tepeste's rescue team is on its way. And with that, we reach the end of Chapter 70. After such a long wait, we finally learn that Nanachi, while broken, is not dead, though time will tell how that may change. Some more information on Juso and a fragment of Reg's lost memories are a recipe for a pretty good chapter. As usual, I would love to hear your thoughts and theories about the chapter down below in the comments. And while you're down there, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like and subscribe for more content in the future. Finally, I'd like to take a moment to thank you all for your continued support on the channel. It's awesome to see that so many people enjoy watching the videos I create. Though things have been inconsistent, I do have plans for future videos and hope you'll all enjoy what's coming next. With all that out of the way, thank you all so much for watching. This has been the Professor Z, and I will see you all next time.